Krishna Krishna. Hari Om children, and welcome back to story time. When Brahmaji, the creator, took away all the calves and hid all the Gopas, Shri Krishna photocopied himself and became all the different children and the different calves. And when he came back to the village, everybody finding Krishna, who is the self of everyone, in the form of their child, even though they did not know the secret, they all felt so much more love for their children and all their wishes to have Krishna as their child, Krishna fulfilled. And there was so much love that they had. Nobody knew that the children and the calves went missing, and Krishna did not want any parent to be anxious, to be worried. So Krishna became all the children and the calves. In the family, there was so much more love. There was so much more kindness. There was so much play and laughter. And everybody was wondering how much love has come into the family, how much love has come into the village. But people did not know the secret, because everywhere, in every form, it was Krishna, 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 everywhere. But everybody saw their own children. That day, Balram had not gone. Even Balram was quite amused to see. One day, when he went with Krishna, with all the Gopas and the calves, and who were those Gopas? They were Krishna only. When they went to the forest, seeing the calves, all the cows that were on the Govardhan mountain, seeing the calves, who were the calves? It was Krishna. Seeing the calves, they all ran, and all the cowherd men, they did not know how to control the cows, and they were feeling so worried that the cows are just running with their tails standing, and they were running to feed their calves because they felt so much love. Even the Gopa men could not understand. They came chasing after the cows, but when they saw their others, all their sons, and who are the sons? Krishna. Even daddies, who generally don't show much affection, they also started hugging their children, kissing their head, and they also did not know, with tears in their eyes. Nobody had seen this sight, that daddies were so emotional about their sons. But Balram saw all this, and he looked at Krishna. Krishna, what's all this? Krishna said, shh. And Balram could see that in all the forms, it was Krishna, Krishna, Krishna alone. And he had become all the forms to delight the parents, the cows. 1 year passed. And Brahmaji, thinking that he just went for a short trip to play this trick, to see whether Krishna was really what all the heavenly devatas say, people say. And something very interesting. For Brahmaji, it was just a few moments, but 1 year had passed on earth. I remember as a child asking my grandmother, Grandmother, how did this happen? And how could Brahmaji keep these children for 1 year? And she pointed out to me a great secret that I learned much later in college in science. And that was that the time changes from one world to another world, from one dimension to another dimension. For Brahmaji, it was for a few moments, but on the earth, 1 year had passed. Wonder of wonders. And when Brahmaji came back, he thought, now I will see the plight, the sorrow of Krishna having lost all his friends, thinking that he had just gone for a few moments. He forgot that time on earth passes. But when he came back, to his surprise, he saw the same sight. Krishna sitting in the center and all the Gopa boys surrounding him, laughing away, eating away, sharing their food with him. He said, but I had trapped all these boys in the cave. And when he looked into the cave, all the Gopa boys were sleeping. And therefore, they did not know what had happened. They were sleeping. He did not know. How can happen if they are there? Then who is with Krishna? All the Gopa boys? And when he came close, and Shri Krishna saw Brahmaji, and he gave a smile, Brahmaji's delusions ended, and he could see that surrounding Krishna were so many Krishnas in the form of Vishnu. And he saw all the celestial beings there. And each Krishna, who had taken the form of each Gopa, was surrounded by such splendor with Lakshmi, with Devatas, with Rishi Munis, Naradji, all saints, sages, and even Brahma's there, creators there. He was so stunned. And then he sees in the center the Lord of the universe with one morsel of rice in his hand. He understood that this little boy is even the Lord of all lords, and came there, and with his crown and his 4 heads and his arms, he just bowed down, fell flat, and did Sashtang Namaskar. He fell flat with his head bowed down. And as he rose up, he praised. He who is the knower of the Veda, he praised Bhagwan and said, you are the greatest of the greatest. You are infinite, you are mighty. And he went on praising. And a fool like me, who with your power only creates the entire world, tried to delude you. But who knows your powers? And seeking blessings, even Brahmaji the creator, seeking blessings from this Krishna, bowed down and released the calves and the boys. The boys did not know what happened. They just found themselves sitting in the same way like they were sitting 1 year before. They did not know how time had passed. They were sitting there, and Krishna came back and said, I found the cows, and came and sat again in between them. And they did not know that they were 5 years old when they came that day to the forest. And when they returned back, they were already 6 years old. They had grown up, and children like to grow up. They had grown up, and they came and told the story of Krishna killing Aghasur, that huge python. And when they all came and saw the skin of the python, which now became an amusement park for the children to play in, they were quite surprised. that how this little Krishna can do so much. How can he kill these mighty demons? How powerful is this Krishna? By now they realize that Krishna was no ordinary baby. But yet in their love, they would forget that and they would say, thank God, our children and Krishna are saved. And Krishna would just say, you're welcome. And that way the Gopas kept on enjoying themselves. Now they grew up and now they were given in charge of the cows. And Krishna, with his peacock feather in his hair, his lovely curly hair, and now looking so handsome, still a little boy, but very handsome, and with his flute, would come to the forest, and these little older boys now were able to mimic the sounds of all the birds and the animals, and they played around in the forest. But when they came to the village, they would be very, very mischievous. Now and then, when these gopis used to carry their pots and they would go to Mathura to pay the taxes to Kamsa or to provide butter to the palace of Kamsa, otherwise Kamsa will come here to harm the children or to collect the taxes or send his people. Krishna, to constantly remind the gopis not to be afraid of anyone, used to play such pranks. And these gopis, whether they were carrying pots of water or they would be carrying the pots of buttermilk and butter, these boys would go hiding behind trees and with their slings, while the gopis carrying their pots and they were talking away and chatting away, they would hit a stone with their sling and their mark was so perfect that it would make a hole on the back of the pot. And these girls would go back home, and when their mother-in-law said, where is the water? The pots were empty, and then they would see there is a hole in the pot. They would not come to know. They wondered, how did the hole come in the pot? Where did the water go? One day they said, let us be very careful. This must be the pranks of this Nandalala. So they were walking, looking around, but they did not know where this Krishna with the boys was to be hiding. And their pots would break and their bodies would get wet with the spurt of water that would come up. And if there was butter in the pot and the butter came out, these boys would go behind and keep on eating all the butter and drinking the buttermilk. And when the gopis would turn around, they would quickly disappear. Sometimes the gopis spotted and they would know that this is Krishna and these boys playing these pranks. So they decided, we will be very, very careful. So you look this side, I look this side, and wherever you spot this Krishna, be aware, we will go and catch him and take him to Yashoda. But it was not easy to find Krishna. Where he is hiding, sometimes no one can see. But suddenly one sound would come and they would get wet and the butter would flow and they would say, how does this Krishna do it? How does this Krishna do it? One day they all said, we will hold our pots and we will look back. And while they were looking back and walking, you know what Krishna had done? He had that time tied a rope, and these gopis, as they were looking behind and walking, dubuk, 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 all their pots fell down, and some on them and they got wet, others with buttermilk, others fallen everywhere. They would say, Krishna, Krishna, please don't do this, Krishna. But Krishna used to constantly play these pranks, and even for a moment if the gopis would forget Krishna, he would remind them and they would go on Krishna Krishna. So they decided once, let us take metal pots. Neither if he drops it, it will break, nor can he shoot with stones. But when they came back home with their metal pots, they found the water was all dirty because the Gopa boys were sitting on the tree and putting all cow dung and dust into their pots. But whole time these gopis, Krishna, Are Yashoda Maya, Krishna, oh Krishna. But all that time, Krishna, 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 Krishna was heard all over Vrindavan. One day the boys were in the forest and Krishna told Balram, see how beautiful this forest is. Sometimes they would lie down on each other's lap. Krishna would press his elder brother Balram's feet. Praise Balram that you are so strong and mighty. And one friend of Krishna told, in the woods ahead, there are plenty of fruit trees. So Krishna said, then let's go and eat there. Or you go and bring some fruits. They said, but there is a donkey there. And this donkey was Dhenukasur, one of Kamsa's gang. And he with his other asuras, demons, all in the form of donkeys, were guarding that place and not allowing anyone, neither the children nor the monkeys, to eat those fruits. Greedy as they were, these asuras, they guarded that place and nobody was allowed. And if anybody, any child or any youngster came into their woods, they would suddenly come and come and kick them or push them. Krishna looked at Balram and said, Balram, this you have to do. Already Krishna had told Balram how powerful he was, how great he was, how handsome he was. And Balram said, of course, Krishna. And Balram went into the woods where Dhenukasur in the form of a donkey was there. He went there, and as he shook the trees and the fruits fell, and Balram was gathering the fruits, suddenly that donkey came and he struck with his legs Balram's chest. But Balram was strong. Even though he thumped on his chest, Balram did not fall down. The donkey ran here and there, his own hoofs hurt by Balram's chest. He ran here and there and came again with his hind legs, back legs, to kick Balram. But Balram caught him by his legs and threw him. Oh, dizzy! He again got up and came charging towards Balram, now with great force, and wanted to kick Balram. But Balram again caught hold of him, and there were all these palm trees with the palm fruits. Balram took this donkey and swirled him around, and so strong was Balram. And Krishna, from a distance with all the Gopas, was cheering Balram. And Balram gave a look and he threw, and this donkey swirling fell on the palm trees, and each palm tree fell, and so many fruits fell everywhere, spreading their seeds and spreading their fruits for the children to eat. The other friends or the other asuras, donkeys, they came one by one. Krishna also got into the woods, and between Krishna and Balram, all these donkeys were made a donkey of. And all of them either ran away or some of them died, and there was fruits everywhere for the children to eat. Bhagwan doesn't like people hoarding, people keeping things to themselves when they have in plenty and they don't share. Such unintelligent people who become greedy, Bhagwan, Shri Krishna and Balram come to teach them a lesson. Do you have something in plenty that you can share with others? Then quickly give it away. For Krishna loves those who share. But those who just keep to themselves more than what they even need or they use, then Krishna will come with Balram. Take it and share it. So, Krishna Kanaya Lal ki Jai. Baldev Balram ki Jai. And whole of Gokul, all the time, now that Krishna had become the one who looked after the cows, he had become Gopala, the protector of the cows. And all the time they would call, Nand ke lala Gopala, Gokul Bala Gopala, 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 Nand ke lala Gopala, Gokul Bala Gopala, Nand ke lala Gopala, Gokul Bala Gopala, 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 Gopala. The whole place, the whole forest was singing with joy, calling out every time, come, come, O protector of the cows, O friend of everyone, come to us, dear Krishna. All the gopis and the gopas and all the mothers used to wait for their children to come back home, always thinking how lucky these Gopa boys are. For the gopis had to wait sometimes the whole day to see this Nandalala, this Yashoda Bala, this Makhanchor, this Gopala. And they used to call out, Aja, Aja, Gopala, Aja, Aja, Gopala, 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 Gopala. And when in the evening, Sri Krishna playing his flute, his body covered with the dust of the hoofs of the cows, they used to wait at their door, at their window, just to see this beautiful light of the sun falling on the beauty of beauties, this Gopala, Shri Krishna Kanaya, and see this charming Krishna come home. Do you want to call out to Krishna to come home? Gopala, 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 Gopala. Keep calling out to him and you might just see him. Otherwise, he's hiding and he's breaking your pots. He's loving you, he's caring for you, he's protecting you. But when you call out to him, you can see him. Gopala, Gopala, Krishna, Krishna. Krishna Krishna.